changes everything. I'm convinced. Being a runner, I run outside, and back when I lived in Seattle, I used to run this route. I'm a creature of habit. I run the same route over and over and over and over. I had this route that I ran. Along this run, I would notice this ravine that was along my running route, and I noticed it because there was this huge mansion right next to this completely overgrown ravine. And the mansion was always manicured because you could rent it for weddings and such. There was always a gardener out there that I'd run by, and next to it was this just complete nasty ravine. Overgrown, nobody took care of it. And I would just notice it because it was ugly. And of course, I would think about my old life before God came and found me and started cleaning me up. And that was my life. There was blackberry vines down there, rocks, and nobody came along and kept it up. I think at one time someone did, but it was just way too far gone. And I just would notice it and think, that just reminds me of me, and I'd be really grateful at that moment that God took me out of that nasty place and was starting to rebuild this tree in me. Well, one day I'm running by the nasty ravine and I see this little bud sticking out. It's springtime, so a lot of the flowers are springing, and there was a little funny pink bud down there. And it looked like a rhododendron bud. Now, the rhododendron, the Washington state flower. Everybody has a rhododendron bush. I'm telling you, everybody has one. If you live in Seattle, you have a rhododendron. If you don't, you go and buy one. They're quite pretty, and they're the state flower. And I remember the rhododendron because I didn't have one. I had some in my front yard that weren't that attractive because they can be a little bit gnarly. But my brother did. My brother, who lived next door, had that. And it was stunning. He had this huge tree right by his front door. I would comment on, that's the kind of rhododendron I want. So beautiful. And he would say, well, you can't just go and buy this. It takes years to grow. It's a tree. It's not a bush. So anyway, the flower looked just like my brother's. And I stopped and I looked, and this tiny bud was underneath all of this bramble and all of this vinage. And I suddenly saw a small rhododendron tree down in the middle of this nasty ravine, bent over and completely ensnared with blackberry vines. And there was this beautiful tree that was hunched over, only one bud left, sprouting out, covered from head to toe in blackberry vines, to the point that it was literally bent over and its little top was almost on the ground. I'm going to go down there with my chainsaw and I'm going to set this little tree free, right? For sure. So I sprint home, cannot get home fast enough, getting all my stuff together, trying to find the chainsaw that's out in the garage. And my husband says, what are you doing? And I said, I'm going to go set this tree free. You don't understand. I can't stand it. It just makes me sicker. Someone needs to go. And that someone needs to be me. My husband says, you can't do that. That's city property. You can be just cruising down a busy street with a chainsaw. You'll get a ticket. Now, being the good Christian that I was, brand new, oh my goodness, can't do anything wrong like that. Because that would not be a good picture for the Lord. So I call the city and I get nowhere because they can't do it either. Absolutely not, they say. Well, you go down there because that's our property. So there I was, doomed to run by this dying tree with one bulb, and I could do nothing. I could do nothing except pray. So I did. I took my black and white Kodak camera down there and I took a picture of that tree, and don't think I didn't put that in my God box. The box that housed all of my shame, all of my regret, now all of my hope, and the rhododendron tree. In the box it went. I said, Lord, if you can move here, I know you could move here. This tree reminds me of me. It's symbolic to me of a broken life, where nobody wants to fix it, but I would go. Send me. Well, the next spring, of course, I kept running, and come spring, I'm out, and I'm on my route for sure, and I run by. I get to the big house, and it looks the same, and I come to my broken ravine, and to my amazement, and I'm not kidding, was a bald patch down in the center of the ravine, and my little rhododendron tree with its feeble limbs was barely sitting up with its one full bulb blooming. Someone had come and pruned my rhododendron tree, had taken all of the thorns off, all of the brambles, and left it there. And every day I ran by and I watched it get stronger and stronger. And then seasons later, I took my professional photographer down there and we took a picture of that fully bloomed, beautiful rhododendron tree.